I am Rita Gamil. This is Miss Candice Kern, the Board of Trustees, one of the members. So thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you. Happy to talk to you.
Thank you again. I am so excited to talk to you because a lot of us parents who have kids here at the school know that school board, members, and they're there for a reason, but we really don't know what it is that they do. But I want to start off asking you, why did you decide to run for the board members position?
I'm so happy to answer that question. I've always been super active in my kids' schools, and then love our local elementary schools so much, and I work at all the kids' schools, not just my own kids. I've worked at all the schools in Cypress and just love it so much. And then when a vacancy came up, just had lots of friends kind of poke me and say, hey, this might be a good opportunity for you to continue serving our schools. And I used to be a teacher, so I just had that passion for education and Cypress schools in particular because they're so great. And I was so happy to serve in that way, just a little bit beyond what I've been doing, let's say, in the classroom, just as your average parent volunteer. It was so nice to kind of ramp it up a little bit and be in a place where we really can hopefully make change and improve our schools even more. So I was just driven to serve our community in that way.
Great, thank you. The next thing, when you said to make improvements, what is it that you would like to accomplish while you're here?
That is another excellent question. It's so, when you look at our schools and our API scores are really high, when you compare us to other schools, local schools and other schools in the state, we are doing great. Great, great, great. So even look at it, say we need to improve. In a way, you look at it, go, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But of course, there's always room for improvement. And one of the struggles that we're having lately have to do with state issues, budget crisis, and so a big challenge of our school board in recent years, and certainly in the next few years, would just be how do we keep our schools and our programs and our staff and everything great with less resources. And so that's our biggest challenge over the next few years. And that's true across the board. That's not true in our city. That's true everywhere. And so that's a real challenge for school boards around our state. And then furthermore, we're implementing something that's called the Common Core, which is a new curriculum, again, statewide. In fact, it's actually nationwide. And so the way kids learn and the way kids are tested is going to change. So that's a huge challenge for our district and how that will change teaching, classrooms, everything. There's a huge shift in education happening right now. And again, I'm so happy with my history as a teacher myself, and then of course having kids in the district currently. It's just really exciting to be a part of all that change, even though there are challenges.
Yeah, I think it's great having somebody on the board member that has children now in their school, because parent myself, they go, I think it's a little different than what it used to be when certain people have come through and they don't have kids, and it's not the same what it used to be. So it's wonderful having somebody who has an active child right now at our schools.
That's something that I love about our school board in particular currently, and I know we've had great school boards in the past, so I'm just speaking only to our current board.
Of course.
We are so diverse in that we're parents of kids in the community. Some have business backgrounds, others have, we just bring all these different expertise. Of course, some of the board members have been there for a while, and others of us are quite new, and so we just bring all these different strengths. And I think that's one thing that makes our board special compared to other boards. Other boards, maybe that's just people who have been sitting on it for 20 years, and ours is a little bit fresher and more diverse, and I think that suits our kids and our city well.
Good. That's good to know. Also, I know there are only 5 members of the board. Now, again, I don't know much and kind of feel guilty about it. I should know.
Good. I had to learn a lot about it myself. Yeah.
But what is it that you guys do? What is the responsibility? What is the goal? What are we doing?
I love that question too, because I kind of thought I knew what a school board did. And I have learned more by being on the job. Just like you think like when you become a parent, you think you know how to be a parent, so you actually are one. There's so much to learn. I learned that the U.S. is the only country that has school boards like this, and here's the reason, the rationale. A huge chunk of taxpayer money, everywhere across our country, goes to schools. So our Constitution, our state Constitution specifically, demands that. And we're giving all this money, our taxpayer money, to the schools. We want to know that our taxpayers, lay people like me, are seeing that our schools are doing what they're supposed to be doing. So it's really an oversight position that the people are governing what our schools are doing, because they've got a huge chunk of our money. It's our job to hold them accountable. So that's sort of the philosophical role of what we do, but more practically how that plays out. Of course, we're not there running the day-to-day of the school. That's not our jobs. We're not there to create the little minute decisions that have to happen on a daily basis. That's not the board's role. In fact, it was explained to me once from a fellow board member that we're supposed to be more like helicopters, that we're supposed to be hovering around, lower down when there's an emergency or a crisis, but for the most part, we're supposed to be having the bigger picture, obviously. But so how that happens on a day-to-day or month-to-month basis is we empower our superintendent, who is hired by the board, not by me, she came before me, but...
so the board members decide and hires the superintendent?
Ultimately, yes. Of course, there's a team that helps in the search and all of that, and in the interviewing, but ultimately it's the board that... The only person that is hired directly by the board is the superintendent. And it's her role, obviously, then, she's accountable to us to make sure that the district is run well. So from week to week, month to month, they present their plans, their bills, their curriculum, whatever it is. Okay. All of that comes through the board and we have to approve it.
Okay.
And some of it is, I hate to even use this expression, that's almost like a rubber stamp, like it's procedural kinds of things, like paying your electric bill every month, of course we're going to approve that. But obviously some things are larger than that, like I mentioned, some of the curriculum shifts that we're expecting over the next few years, and some of that's dictated by the state, but it's up to our district to decide to implement it. So we as a board members, it's our job to make sure that our district is making all those changes in an effective and appropriate, fiscally responsible way.
Okay, see, there's always something to learn every day. I didn't know that the board members actually are the one who get to decide ultimately on the superintendent.
Everything.
That's
everything, which blew me away. Like every decision that the school district makes comes across the board.
Oh, wow.
And again, most of them are quite straightforward. Paying the bills, but others are bigger, including getting to choose a superintendent.
Yeah, it is. The other question I wanted to ask you, let's see, our elementary schools, all of our elementary schools are distinguished California schools. Why do you think we have such a good schools? Because every time I have to tell you we have open house, so there's the sellers and buyers, everybody's aware of it and they're about the schools and they want to know why is that? So what do you think?
Okay, I'm going to answer the why in a minute, but again, in my former life as a teacher, I taught in a neighboring district, a large district. And people always joked about Cypress being this hidden gem. All the teachers wanted to come here. They liked the district we worked for, but they're like, have you ever heard of Cypress? You should go work over there.
Oh, wow.
So, and it was always, and still is, hard to get a job here because we're small, and even more so, teachers don't leave our district. Teachers leave other districts for various reasons, but the teachers in Cypress, most of them, I think it's 10 years or more is like the youngest teacher here. And so I think that tradition and that longevity and experience has made our schools just continue to be great. People stay, they are committed to our city, they're committed to our community. Many of our teachers live in our city, and that just makes them that much more invested in how our classes are doing. I think because we're a fairly small district, that helps too, because it makes us tighter knit. There's no sense of like this side of town or that side of town. It's like we are all in this together. And when you're larger, it's just you can't help but feel maybe a little separate. But because we're geographically close, everybody's all bought in. We all know each other from soccer. You and I met at soccer, even though our kids were not in the same school. So we all know each other in other venues, which doesn't necessarily happen in other. So I just think that community spirit and commitment to our schools. And I hate to be corny because people who know me know that I'm a PTA geek. I think PTA helps too because you've got, again, that community sense and the parents that keep their schools exciting and lively and a place where people want to go beyond just the regular school hours. They're there for evening events or after school things or making those fun after school programs that might not exist in different schools. I just think every teacher, parent is just so committed to our schools, not only that they achieve academically, which of course that's why we're there, but just that it be part of our community and just serving our neighborhood and our city.
Okay. And also, you have lived in Cyprus for how many years now?
Okay, I moved here in 97, so sorry.
Oh my gosh, that's been a while.
Yeah.
I came here in 94, so
Yeah,
it has
look
been
at us.
a while.
We are some kind of like Cyprus.
We are. Well, I met some people who are original
Oh
owners
yeah, both
here.
my neighbors are original.
Are
owners,
they?
Yeah.
They paid like $5,000 for their home. I'm going, God, don't you wish you would have bought both the whole neighborhood?
Yes,
So when we ended up, we used to live on. I was on closer to your side when we ended up buying the townhome over there, and that's all we could afford at the time. And when we were thinking of moving to a single family, we thought, God, I don't want to leave Cyprus. I like Cyprus, the community here, so much. So we ended up staying in Cyprus as well. And I've seen it grow, seen the businesses, and I've seen the schools now that I have the kids, and one is going to graduate, and I have another one in elementary and junior high. So to see that and how great the schools are, and I thought, let's just do something to tell people, and it's not just from me coming, hey, by the way, but it's actually from people like you who are involved and plus have kids in the schools. So
Right.
I love this. So thank you for doing this.
I just met a mom over the weekend from a neighboring school district which has an excellent reputation. I won't even name it. And she had just moved to Cyprus and was struggling with whether or not she was going to keep her kid at the other school where she used to live, or move her to what would now be her neighborhood school here in Cyprus. And I was so excited to tell her all about Cyprus. And she had been doing her own research, like talking to other parents, going online, looking at test scores, all those things. And she was like, oh, I really can't have my kid go to a Cyprus schools are great. And so I was so tickled of it. And then just happened to bump into her and was able to tell her, obviously, firsthand that our experience has been the same. In fact, here's another crazy story about you're talking about when we bought our houses. I was a newlywed and very young and was still teaching at the time. We had no plans of kids, and we knew someday.
Eventually, yeah.
And the folks that we bought our house from kept telling us over and over again, oh, you guys are going to love the schools. You guys are going to love the schools. And my husband and I kind of look at each other and laugh because it was so far in our, like, we're not kids.
I was thinking about that.
And now, and we didn't have kids until maybe we had lived there for 5 or 6 years, let's say. And then now it's like, boy, she was right, and how thankful am I, because you hear other families maybe that they're trying to move to get their kids into better districts, and we just had, that wasn't even on our radar when we bought our house because we were young and dumb. And so now that was just like, the seller knew it.
Yeah, exactly.
The seller knew it, and then now you're so like, she did tell us how great our schools are.
That is.
I can tell everybody else the same thing.
It is, and I have the same conversation all the time with everybody. One last question would be, what do you think is the big main mission you guys have for the board member that you think that you would like to accomplish and see?
Oh gosh. Well, I would just say, and I know I'm repeating myself a bit, but the biggest mission is there are lots of obstacles and changes going on this year with the financial stuff happening in the state, with the huge curriculum and assessment change that's happening in our state. When you look at our bar of where our test scores, how our student achievement already is, we need to know, as a board, need to know that despite all these changes, despite all the things that are coming our way, that bar stays here. That we have to empower our superintendent and therefore everyone who works for us, for our kids, to empower them whatever way we can to make sure that we keep that bar up here. Because we know when our schools perform well, we all do better. The housing market does better.
Definitely.
It brings businesses to your community as well because they can see that you've got, an educated workforce here. I mean, it's huge. It's huge. So that is our biggest goal, is that we've had more changes thrown our way the last couple of years and we'll continue the next year or so. Of course, it's always changing, but more now than usual.
Yes.
So our job is to keep that expectation and that achievement exactly where it is and even higher despite those changes.
Perfect. And I know you're president of the PTSA in Lexington too, and how do you manage to be part of that and the board, and how do you balance it all?
It is a lot of juggling time-wise because I do serve on 5 PTs this year, so I'm ridiculously crazy.
Plus you have the kids, plus you're the wife
yes,
and mom.
We're all every mom every parent, but every mom I know is overbooked. But for me, and I totally see this in you too, it's because I'm so excited about it, and that sounds so corny.
Yeah, you have the passion for it.
I have the passion, and when I'm just kind of able to put together all my skills and my education with the passion, I mean, hello, it's perfect. So I'm happy to do it, and I have a lot of moms say, gosh, you're crazy, you get suckered into all those PTAs. I don't feel that way at all. I'm so happy to get to do it. And of course, sometimes it's a little hectic, but
And coffee helps sometimes.
and coffee too. Coffee and Diet Coke
Diet
and a
Coke.
little chocolate.
There you go. Well, thank you so much again. I appreciate it. I am so excited that you are part of the board, and I had known you way before this. Gosh, how many years? It's been a while.
It's been a while.
Six?
Probably about 5, at least 5.
Somewhere there. So I'm so happy you're there. And again, thank you so much for the opportunity to sit down with me.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to talk to you, Rita.
And keep up the good work.
Thank you. I'll do my best.
Okay, no pressure.